today we will revise the chapter Albert Einstein at School. In this chapter, we will come to know how one child who later on became a physicist, a scientist, and how he was expelled from school. Children, do you know what is the meaning of the word expelled, expulsion, expulsion? Does anybody know the meaning?
मैम किसी को बाहर निकाल देना किसी चीज से.
But Sukhvinder, you have to converse in English, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
To throw him out from school. So Albert Einstein was thrown from school. Why? Because his history teacher, Mr. Brown, had complained against him to the principal. One day, Mr. Brown asked him, in what year Einstein did the Prussians defeat the French at Waterloo? And he said, I don't know. So the teacher said, why don't you know? I can't see any point in learning dates. So Mr. Brown was really amazed. He said, we can see, don't you realize that one can always look most things up in books? That applies to all the facts you learn at school. Because he says learning dates is facts. How many people died, that's facts. So that is that we can see, always see from the book. No need to learn. Then I suppose you don't see any point in learning facts. Frankly, sir, I don't. So according to Albert Einstein, he says learning facts is not education. So the teacher got very annoyed and he said, that means you can tell me what is the Einstein theory of education? Perhaps you will be kind enough to tell the class Einstein theory of education. What's your theory of education? So he says, I think it's not facts that matter, but ideas. Why should we learn the dates of battles? We can easily learn, or we can find out the ways why these armies were killed and why they were trying to kill each other. Logic, he uses logic. And that's enough, he says. Mr. Brown, he was very angry. Can you tell me who is Mr. Brown?
Ma'am, his history teacher.
His history teacher. And then he was detained. He said that you have to stay back for an hour after school as punishment. One extra period as punishment. He also said that I know it is not going to do you any good making you stay back for an hour. It's a disgrace. I don't know why you continue to come. So Albert says, I can't help it because it's not my wish. Whose wish was to send Albert Einstein to school?
Ma'am, his father.
Father.
Yes, everybody's parents, they want that the children should study and then get good marks and get a diploma, get a degree, and then get a good job. So Albert's father also had a dream. But then he said, it's not my wish. And he said, the teacher was very angry. You are an ungrateful boy and you should be ashamed of yourself. I suggest you ask your father to take you away. But can anybody tell me which school is Einstein staying? Where is his school? Which place?
German school.
German school. But can you tell me the place name? Name of the place?
Munich.
Munich. Very good, Sukhvinder. I think you revised.
No, ma'am, I know this chapter.
Okay, very good. So he says that he was staying in Munich because his father couldn't afford to send him to school in Milan. Milan is in Italy, where his father is staying, because he was not very rich. And when he was not very rich, so he sent Albert to Munich. So here in this school, he was not getting on well with the teachers, with the education system. He didn't like it. Neither did he like the place where he was staying. Can you tell me why he didn't like going to his lodgings? Lodgings means where he was staying. Why he didn't
Ma'am,
repeat?
because the one whose the house was, she used to beat her kids, and her husband drunkard and beat her, and it was all mess there. That's why he doesn't like
Yes,
that place
yes,
very
yes,
well.
yes. So we are told that he did not mind the bad food. He did not the lack of comfort. Maybe he had to sleep on the floor. He did not mind that. Also, he did not mind the dirt. Also, but he hated the slum violence. Every day the landlady used to beat her children, and on Saturdays husband used to come drunk and used to beat her. So there was always a lot of noise. So one day he met Yuri. Can anybody tell me who is Yuri?
Yuri was
No.
his best friend.
Yes, Mehak, you also try to answer, beta. Ahmad, you also. So Yuri was his best friend, only friend. And Tisha, you are there, beta? Tisha?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to answer also, beta. So what happened is we are told that Yuri, his only friend, met him and he said, Ki, Albert, why are you so angry? You have a room to yourself. But Albert said, you live with civilized human beings. Because Yuri was poorer than Albert and he couldn't afford to have a room for rent, and then he was staying with many other students. But Yuri said all students are not civilized. Then he told about a duel. Last week, a duel was fought between two students. Duel is actually two only. It was fought between two, and one of them was killed. So Albert asked, now these are civilized people. And what about the one who survived? So he says that the police told him not to fight any more duels, but he's upset. Why is this child upset who has survived the duel?
Ma'am, because he doesn't have that kind of scars that all the mafias have and the winner of the duels have.
As a badge of honor to tell others that I fought a duel. So Albert was astounded. Oh my God. He said, you will also be a student 1 year, one day. He said, I doubt it because I will not be able to get my diploma. One day, his cousin Elsa came, and when she came to Munich, she met Albert Einstein. Where was Elsa staying? Yes, Mehak? Where was she staying?
Ma'am, Italy.
No, see, beta. She was, she stayed in Berlin, where her
Okay,
father
okay.
had a business. She was not staying in Milan, neither Munich, but she was staying in Berlin. So one day she met, and then she says that I'm sure you could learn enough to pass the exams if you tried. There are many stupid children than you, and they they say you don't have to know anything, you don't have to understand, you only have to repeat it in the exam. Just learn and repeat. What does she compare this learning to? Learning like whom? Learning like a
Parrot.
anyone can learn like a
Parrot.
parrot. He says you She says that you don't just try, and yet every day I see a book under your arm. Which is the book you are holding? So he says it's a book on zoology. Can anybody tell me this zoology? What is zoology?
Ma'am, a study on rocks.
Rocks, study of rocks. He says that we don't have hardly any science at school, but he loved it, so he was reading it. But Elsa says it won't help you with this diploma. It is not a part of your syllabus curriculum, so it will not help. So just have to learn something. which is related to your syllabus, and just like a parrot and just pour it down to the teacher on paper. His only comfort was music. Which instrument did he play?
Violin.
Violin. But the
Ma'am,
landlady
violin.
stopped him. The music gave him a lot of relaxation, soothing effect. But still, the landlady said, please, there is enough wailing, enough of crying sound in the house and howling. My children are howling and shouting all the time. It gets on my nerves. So he wanted to say it is you who is making them cry. But still, he didn't say anything. So what happened is after 6 months in Munich, after staying for 6 months, he says, I have to stop. I have to stop because I can't go on like this. It's absurd. It's strange. I can't carry on like this. So he says, I'm wasting my father's money and I'm wasting everybody's time. But then Yuri, he said, what will you do? He says, I will go back to Milan and I will ask my father, but to make me take admission out there. But I know my father will send me back. Then suddenly Albert has an idea, something related to doctors. Can anybody tell me? What?
What, ma'am?
What? Something related to doctors. Yes, Mehak.
Ma'am, he said that he needed a medical certificate that stated that he is suffered from a nervous breakdown.
Very good, Meg. He said that I need a doctor to certify. Do you know any friendly doctors? So he says, see, I know many medical students because I'm staying with many students. Some of them are friendly also, but I don't have money for the doctor. And after a few days, he met and he said that I have found a doctor for you, and you can, this is the address. He gave him the address. And what is the doctor's name?
Ma'am, Dr. Ernest Will.
Dr.
Dr.
Ernest Will.
Ernest.
Albert asked, is he a specialist in nervous troubles? Is he a neurosurgeon? He said, not exactly. He just qualified as a doctor last week. Maybe you're the first patient. But don't try to pull the wool over his eyes. What do you mean? Don't try to pull the wool over his eyes. That's all.
मैम उसके आंखों में धूल झोंकने की कोशिश मत करना.
In English, don't try to cheat him. Don't try to deceive him. Only say the truth. He's a doctor, so he will understand. So the moment he went to the doctor, he said, no need to explain. Your friend Yuri has already given me a history of your case, and he wants, you want me to think that you have had a nervous breakdown and you mustn't go to school. But you know what, a doctor can't certify that a child need not go to school. So he said that I can do one thing. If you leave the school, where would you go? He said, I'll go to Milan, I'll take a diploma, I will take something from my maths teacher because I'm quite good at maths. I've done more than they teach in school. So I want to go in for higher studies in maths in Milan. But still, he was worried. He said, if by chance I'll make a medical certificate for, I'll make a certificate for 6 weeks. And if by chance you don't get, 1 minute. So he says, How long would you like me to say you should stay away from school? Would 6 months be all right? This 6 months is for Albert to be at the safer side. Can anybody explain why the doctor wrote he should not go to school for 6 months? Not for the whole year, not forever. He said 6 months. Why?
Don't know.
Don't know. Okay. So why 6 months is, see, it is very difficult to get admission in good schools or any school. What to say? So he says that if I say that um, you'll go to Milan, you will search for an institute or for a college to get a diploma and all. If you don't get a chance, don't get admission, you can easily come back here in this school and take readmission or just join, because you have not taken a TC. You've just taken a medical certificate for 6 months. Did you understand, Sukhwinder? Huh? He
Yes,
could come
ma'am.
back, but Albert is very adamant. He says, I will not come back. And he was very happy when the doctor gave him a certificate, and he met Yuri in the evening and he invited him to a meal, and he showed the certificate. Yuri was very happy. Yuri said 6 months is a good period. This way you won't actually be leaving the school, or if the worst comes to the worst, you'll be able to come back and carry on for your diploma here in Munich. Hamad, did you understand, beta? Hamad.
Yes, ma'am.
So if he doesn't get admission in school in Milan, he can actually come back and carry on with his education in Munich, where he is presently staying. And Albert says, I will never go back to that place. I will not go back. And then he took that certificate the next morning to show it to the principal that he's leaving school. But the principal called him. But before that, he met Mr. Cooch. Who is Mr. Cooch?
My Miss Maths teacher.
Maths teacher. So he straight away went to maths teacher. He said, sir, it would be very kind enough if you give me some reference. So he said, I feel sorry that you are leaving us. Albert was astounded again. He said, how do you know? But he knew that he would be expelled because he is one of the teachers, the colleagues, and they must have discussed that we are expelling this child. So Mr. Cooch gave him a very good reference because he was very good in maths, and automatically he could get admission in a good school or an institute or a college in Milan. And he said Albert was ready immediately to enter a college or institute for the study of higher mathematics. And Mr. Cooch made it very clear in his reference. Then he was called by the principal, and the principal called him. He wanted to meet the principal, but the principal automatically had called him, and he says, it saves me the trouble of having to wait an hour or two outside. Because if you want to meet the principal, you have to take appointment. And here the principal himself is calling. So he was very happy. And but he thought, why the principal is calling me? Maybe I'm going to be punished for bad work and laziness. But enough. I've already had enough of punishment of staying back after school for an hour. So Albert said, the principal said, your work is terrible. I'm not prepared to have you here any longer. I want you to leave the school now. At that time, he got the shock of his life. He said, you are expelling me. I'm being expelled. You can take it like that. If you go on your own, it would be better. Then he asked me, why you're expelling me? What's the crime I've committed? Then the teacher, the head teacher, that is the principal, said, your presence in the classroom makes it impossible for the teacher to teach and for the other pupils to learn. You refuse to learn. You are a rebel. Because he said, no, that learning facts is not education at all. So he was going against the rules of the school. No serious work can be done while you are there. Albert couldn't give the medical certificate. It was burning a hole. It was useless now. He said, I was going to leave anyway, sir. He said, then it's okay. So we are in agreement. And he left the school, but only he met Yuri, his only friend. And Elsa was back in Berlin. Yuri was the only person whom he met, and he said goodbye. Yuri said, you're going to a very wonderful country and hope you will be happier there. And we know that Albert took a very good decision, and we know that Albert, he got admission and he continued and he became a mathematician, a physicist.